Cal Eugene Petty is an American stock car racing driver. Now retired, he formerly competed in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and is currently a co-host for NASCAR America, which is on NBCSN. He also commentated for TNT in the summer. He is the son of racer Richard Petty, grandson of racer Lee Petty, and father of Adam Petty. He and his wife Pattie have two other children, Austin and Montgomery Lee. He last drove the number 45 Dodge Charger for Petty Enterprises, where he formerly served as CEO. He appeared in the 1983 Burt Reynolds movie Stroker Race. Petty was born in Randleman, North Carolina. Early career, Petty began racing at a young age and made his Major League stock car debut at the age of 18. He won the very first race he entered, the 1979 Daytona ARCA 200, in one of his father's mothballed 1978 Dodge Magnum race cars. At the time becoming the youngest driver to win a Major League stock car race. Later in the season, he made his Winston Cup Series debut. Again driving a passed-down STP Dodge Magnum numbered number 42 for his family's team. He ran 5 races and had a 9th-place finish in his first series race at Talladega. In 1980, he made a total of 15 starts in the number 42 and had 6 top 10 finishes, garnering a 28th place points finish. He began the 1981 season driving his father's number 43 for one race, before running a full schedule in his regular number 42, finishing in the top 10 times and finishing 12th in points. He began the 1982 season with 2 top 10 finishes, but later began splitting time between his number 42 and the number 1 Uno STP car owned by Hoss Ellington, and ended the season 15th in points. In 1983, he picked up funding from 7-Eleven and switched his number to number 7 accordingly. He had only 2 top 10 finishes but improved to 13th in the standings. He followed that season up with 6 top 10s the following year, but fell 3 spots in points. 1985 Euro 1996. Petty took his number and sponsorship to Wood Brothers Racing in 1985, where he had a then career-high 7 top 5s and his first top 10 points finish. The next season, he won his first career race at Richmond and finished 10th in the final standings. In 1987, he switched to the number 21 and received new sponsorship from Seatco, as well as picking up a win at Charlotte. He failed to pick up a win in 1988, and fell to 13th in points, causing him to be released from the ride. He signed on to a part-time schedule in 1989 for the new SABCO racing team. Originally beginning the season unsponsored, he and SABCO later picked up sponsorship from Peak Antifreeze after he drove their car to a top 10 finish at the Daytona 500, filling in for Eddie Bierschwale, as well as Ames Department Stores. Petty and the number 42 Pontiac team competed in 19 races that season, his best finish being a 4th at Atlanta. Peak became the team's full-time sponsor in 1990, and Petty finished 11th in points after winning the spring race at North Carolina Speedway with a 26-second margin of victory. Mellow Yellow would replace Peak as sponsor of the number 42 in 1991, and Petty was running 11th in points when he suffered a broken leg at a crash at Talladega, causing him to miss the next 11 races. His abbreviated schedule combined with only 1 top 10 in the second half of the season caused him to finish the season 30th in points. In 1992, Petty rebounded to a career-best 5th-place finish in points, as well winning 2 separate races that season, the only time he was to have accomplished this feat in his career. Cal came very close to winning the championship in 1992, he had a flat tire at Phoenix and broken engine in the last race, otherwise he would have been neck and neck with Elliott and Kulwicki for the title. He duplicated his points finish in 1993 as well as picking up a win at Pocono Raceway. He dropped 10 spots in points in 1994 after he failed to finish higher than 4th, and lost the Mellow Yellow sponsorship at the end of the season. Coors Light became his new sponsor beginning in 1995, and he won his most recent race at Dover. He fell further down to 30th in points after only finishing in the top 10 5 times and failing to qualify for the fall race at Bristol Motor Speedway. He improved to a 27th place points finish the next season despite missing 2 races due to injury and failing to qualify for the season-ending race at Atlanta. He parted way with SABCO at the end of the season. In 1996, the popular rock group Soundgarden recorded a tune called Kyle Petty, Son of Richard. 1997 – 2006. For the 1997 season, Petty formed his own team, PE2 Motorsports, and fielded the number 44 Hot Wheels Pontiac Grand Prix for himself. He had 2 top 5 finishes and finished 15th in points, the highest points placement of all the new teams to run during the 1997 season. He only had 2 top 10s in 1998, and fell back to 30th in points, causing him to return to Petty Enterprises and run his team from their shop, and became Petty Enterprises' new CEO. He began the 1999 season with 2 early DNQs, and finished 26th in points despite finishing in the top 10 9 times. He was also commentating for ESPN as a guest to commentate as a NASCAR driver for NASCAR Busch Series races. He had won top 10 early in 2000, the same year in which his son Adam died while practicing for a Busch Series race at New Hampshire International Speedway. He missed the next 2 races and returned to drive the number 44 for the rest of the summer, before moving to the Busch Series full-time to finish out the season in Adam's number 45 Sprint Chevrolet. He had 4 top 10s in the car over a span of 14 races, and attempted 2 Cup races with the number 45 Sprint PCS Chevrolet in 2000, finishing 31st at Martinsville. He also filled in at the Brickyard 400 for Penske Racing after their regular driver, Jeremy Mayfield, had to miss the race due to a concussion. Petty finished 32nd. Steve Grissom drove the number 44 Hot Wheels Pontiacs for the rest of the 2000 Winston Cup season and qualified 5 races in 2000. Kyle Petty had to drive the 45 Sprint PCS Chevrolet and the number 44 Hot Wheels Pontiac and qualified in 19 races in 2000, causing him to finish 41st in the points standings in the 2000 Winston Cup Series. In 2001, Petty brought the number 45 to Cup full-time and switched to Dodge. He failed to qualify for 12 races that season and failed to finish higher than 16th, causing him to finish 43rd in points. He qualified for every race in 2002 and had a top 10 at Talladega, raising him to 22nd in the points. After 2002, Sprint left the team and Brawny Georgia Pacific became his new sponsor. He missed 3 races in 2003 and fell back to 37th in the standings. In 2003 during the Food City 500, Petty crashed his number 45 car in a hard driver's side impact. Though TV cameras make it not look hard, NASCAR officials said it was the hardest crash in NASCAR history with 90 G-forces. Just 5 weeks later Petty's crash was bumped from the record as the top crash when Jerry Nadeau suffered his career-ending wreck at Richmond. He moved up 4 spots in 2004 and had a best finish of 12th. In 2005, he competed in every race for the first time in 3 years and had 2 top 10s and finished 27th in points. When Georgia Pacific left after 2005, Wells Fargo, Schwann's, and Marathon Oil became the team's new primary sponsors and Petty duplicated his top 10 total in 2006, but fell 5 spots further in points. 2007 – 2008. At the 2007 Coca-Cola 600, Petty hit his first top 5 finish in 10 years, finishing 3rd in the Coke Zero Dodge. He then raced the Toyota Save Mart 350 at Sonoma in a Petty Enterprises car while broadcasting for TNT. On lap 1 as the cars began lap 2, Petty crashed with Matt Kenseth, causing him to accidentally swerve during the broadcasting. He later took several races off to work as a color commentator for TNT's Nextel Cup coverage, replacing Benny Parsons after Parsons lost his battle with cancer. He returned to the 45 after a 5-race break but surrendered the car for 2 additional races later in the season. Early in the 2008 season, Petty Enterprises was purchased by Boston Ventures, causing Petty to step aside as the team's CEO. When the number 45 car fell out of the top 35 in owners' points, he took a large portion of the season off, including races that did not conflict with his broadcasting duties. After 14 races, his best finish was a 24th at Richmond. He finished 39th in his final 2008 start in the fall race at Phoenix International Raceway after getting swept up into a multi-car crash. According to the Yahoo! Sports blog from the Marbles, he was being slowly pushed out the door at Petty Enterprises. "I don't work for Petty Enterprises," Petty told NASCAR.com on December 8, 2008. "When they did their deal and sold to Boston Ventures, they pretty much let me know there wasn't a place for me there going into '09. Anytime he appears on television on Speed, he wears a hat with a number 45 with a black line across the number in memory of his son Adam. He appears on NASCAR Trackside, NASCAR Victory Lane and NASCAR Race Day as a television personality." Charity: Petty is active in many charitable causes, such as the Victory Junction Gang Camp for terminally ill children, which he established to honor his late son, as well as an annual charity motorcycle ride across the country called the Kyle Petty Charity Ride Across America. Motorsports career results =NASCAR Key Sprint Cup Series, Busch Series, Craftsman Truck Series International Race of Champions Key References. External links: Kyle Petty Charity Ride Across America, Kyle Petty Driver Statistics at Racing Reference, Kyle Petty Owner Statistics at Racing Reference, Kyle Petty on Twitter, Victory Junction Camp, October 2005 Interview with Kyle Petty from NASCAR.com.